Hi friends, my name is Ratan. I'm working for DURGASOFT Solutions as Java trainer. In the last video, we discussed about the abstraction concept, polymorphism is completed, inheritance is completed. The fourth building block of the OOPs is encapsulation, right? Now we'll discuss about encapsulation in this video. So what do you mean encapsulation first of all? So encapsulation means just is nothing but binding the data, the wrapping the data. So binding the group of properties and behaviors as a single unit, the binding the code and the data as a single unit. The process of binding properties and behaviors as a single unit. Otherwise, the properties the process of binding code and data as a single unit is called what? Encapsulation. So concentrate. The encapsulation is the best example of encapsulation is a class. So class concept in Java. What is a class contains how many properties here? We declare in the class name. The class is grouping the values. The class contains, the first one is what? Variables. The class contains methods. The class contains constructors. The class contains instance blocks. The class contains static blocks. Now tell me, the class contains how many elements here? 5 elements. So in these 5 elements, the class open brace closed brace. Now the class is binding these 5 properties within the open brace closed brace or not. This is called encapsulation. The process of binding properties and behaviors. Properties are nothing but variables. Behaviors means method logics, constructor logics, those logics. Static or instance blocks logics. Code and data. So variables and methods also like. So what is the best example of encapsulation here? Class is the best example of encapsulation. Otherwise, when you get the cold and the cough, they are given the cold tag, some tablet is there. What is the tablet shape here? The red and white symbol, small particles is there, right? The caps, 2 caps are there. 2 caps are covering the number of practical particles are not. This is called encapsulation. The capsule is a group of capsule contains group of small particles, right? Capsule is the best example of encapsulation. It is binding the group of particles. Otherwise, your Java packages concept. What is the packages contains? Tell me here. Either it is a user-defined package or predefined package. One of the package name is the java.lang package. The package contains group of class and interface or not. So the package is binding group of class and interfaces as a single unit. The class is binding, like package is binding group of classes and interfaces as a single unit. This is called encapsulation. Tell me, what do you mean encapsulation here? The process of binding the data is called encapsulation. The process of binding the data as a single unit. The best example of encapsulation is capsule tablet like. Here the best example of encapsulation is what? Class is a encapsulation mechanism and the package is also encapsulation mechanism. The class is binding group of class and properties and behaviors as a single unit, and the package is binding. What are the package bindings? The package binds group of class and interface as a single unit. There is information regarding what an encapsulation. Coming to the encapsulation, so I will give the one class regarding encapsulation. The class name is called tightly encapsulated class. What is the class name here? Tightly encapsulated class. I thought, what do you mean by tightly encapsulated class here? For example, class employee class is there. The employee class I declared int employee ID, so string employee name. I declared how many properties here? 2 properties, employee ID name property and employee name property. Tell me, what do you mean by tightly encapsulation? So encapsulation means binding the data. Tightly encapsulation means tightly binding the data, right? Bind the data tightly. How to bind the data tightly? So to bind the data tightly, just to use a modifier. What is the modifier name here? Private modifier. When I declare this variables as a private, how many classes are able to access only within the class, right? You tell me what the most restricted modifier in Java is private. Most accessible modifier in Java is public. When I declare this class properties as a private, how many classes are able to access? Only within the class you are able to access, right? This is called what? Tightly encapsulated class. The class contains private properties. The class is said to be tightly encapsulated class. So I hope clear that the tightly encapsulated class, that is the encapsulation definition. So in the encapsulation, we will discuss about this private properties like. In the project level, the frequent user class is the Java bean class. Java beans concept. So Java bean concept is also known as value object class, business object class. Data transfer object class, Java bean class. What is the purpose of Java bean class means? It contains the private properties. What the bean class contains? It contains private properties and public setters and getter methods. It contains private properties, public setter and getter methods. What is the purpose of setter methods? It is setting the data to the properties. What is the purpose of getter method? To get the data from properties. In the real time, in the project level, we are always using the bean class to set the data and to get the data. So if anyone is asking bean class definition means what? It contains the private properties, public setters and getters. It is used to transfer the data between the two layers. So we are setting the values as well as we are getting the values. Clear? So the practical I will implement the bean class here. Coming to the bean class, the bean class contains private properties. Let me write that code here. The encapsulation means binding the data. So I am writing class emp bean class. What is the bean class contains? Private properties, right? So coming to private properties here, the bean class contains private properties. Int employee ID property. Next one is what? The string employee name property. So this one is declared which modifier here? Private, tightly encapsulated. So for the tight encapsulation, how to declare the private and private? I am declaring private and private. Now every property contains its setter and getter methods. Setter methods. So the purpose of setters here. Setters are used to set the values to properties. Setters are used to set the values to properties. Concentrate here. How many properties are there? 2 properties. We have to set the values to 2 properties, right? Total how many setters required here? 2 setters required. How many properties we declare? Can you please declare that many number of setter methods? How many properties are there? 2 properties. How many setters are required here? 2 setters are required. Let me write the setter method here. Public void setter. The method is generally set triplex method. Here triplex is a property name. So what do you tell me? Property name is what? Employee ID, right? Set employee ID. Set employee ID. Here is expecting the argument how to set the value, right? Argument is employee ID. This is a local variable. You know this variable is called what? Local. These variables are called instance. I hope you know that points already. These variables are called instance variable. We are setter method is passing the values to local. We are passing obviously values to local only, right? We have to convert these local values to what? Instance values. How to convert the local to instance here? This dot employee ID equal to employee ID. This represents the current class object. This is the instance variable. This is a local. We are passing that local value to instance value. So what is second method here? What is second method here? Public void set employee name. The employee name is also expecting the parameter. What is the parameter here? The string employee name parameter. So convert the local values to instance. How to convert this dot employee name equal to employee name? Concentrate when you're doing the Spring projects, Hibernate projects, you will get the exact real-time usage of this bean class. In the Corejava level, just try to understand what is the functionalities of the how to declare the setter methods. What is the functionalities of the bean class? This class is called what? Java bean class. Otherwise, this class is called Vivo class. Vivo represents what? Value object class. So here otherwise this class is called Vivo class. Vivo class means what? Business object class. Vivo class means business object class. Otherwise this class is also known as DTO class. DTO represents what? Data transfer object class. So data transfer object class. So these are different names of Java bean class here. What are being different names here? Java bean class, Java bean class, otherwise Vivo class or Vivo class or DTO class. Clear? Good. So how many properties are there? We are writing that many number of setter methods. Can please write that many number of getter methods also. So what is the purpose of getter method? Getter methods. So getters. What is the purpose of the getters here? The getters are used to get the values from properties. Get the values from properties. These are getter methods. While setting the data, the return type is always void. While retrieving the data, I am retrieving the employee ID and retrieving the employee name or not. while returning the data, the return type is must be property type. The return type must be property type. Public, I would like to get employee ID. Employee return type is what? Integer, right? Public int, tell me get EID, get employee ID. So tell me here, let me return the employee ID, right? Here return employee ID. So concentrate here, set triplex, get triplex. These setters and getter methods, these all setters and getter methods are predefined methods or user defined methods here, tell me. The setter and getter methods are predefined or user defined methods? Obviously these are what? User defined only. We are declaring generally. So the second property return type is a string. That's the reason I declared string here. Public string, tell me get employee ID, get employee name. So get employee name. So tell me here return the employee name, right? This is return employee name. Once this is a reusable components. Any employee can set the data, any employee can get the data, right? Any client can set the data, any client can get the data from this bean class. Hey, it's a reusable component. Anyone can get the data, anyone can set the data. So Control S. Let me save this application. So emp bean.java. This is a bean class. Let me write the client application. So client application means what? This is a client. So test client I am writing. Every client is able to set the data by using setters. It's possible to get the data by using getters. Then how to set the data? To set the data, let me create the first employee bean class object. So anyone can set the data. The main advantage is any object can set the data, anyone can get the data. Any client can use that properties, because here we are not assigning any properties, right? I am creating object, I am setting the values by using setter, I am getting the values by using getter. Employee 2 also same thing. Employee 1 setting the values, getting the values. Employee 2 also setting the values, getting the values. Employee 3 also same process. Employee 4 also same process. Employee 5 also same process. Everyone is same process. Here I would like to set the values. Tell me how to set the values here. emp bean. So employee bean 1, eb1 equal to new employee bean of emp bean, new emp bean of employee bean 1 dot. I would like to set employee ID. emp dot set employee ID. Setter method I am calling by passing triple 1. What is this one here? emp1 dot set employee name. Just I am passing. This is my data in the double quotes. I am passing. We are setting the data by using setters. Let me get the data by using getters. So how to get the data here? eb1 dot, tell me eb1 dot get employee ID. Get employee ID of, tell me I would like to get which one data here? Get employee ID. The get employee ID return type is integer, right? So I stored integer by using int employee ID variable. Let me print that variable system dot out dot println of here employee ID. In the same way eb1 dot get employee name. The employee name data type is string, right? Let me store the data by using string value, string employee name. Let me print the data, the system dot out dot println of employee name. I hope you understand, right? That is the way how to set the data. So here setters are used to set the data. What about these getters here? Getters are used to get the data. Let me create one more object if you want. This is my test client.java. So do the compilation of these applications first. Local disk G cd space java by Ratan. Where I saw this application? Java by Ratan. cd space java programs folder. In the java programs folder my application is there. Java compiler, can you please compile my test client file, the test client.java. So code is compiled. Java, the class name is called what? Test client. So where I said you are returning the values triple 1 Ratan or not. In the same way I am creating one more employee object. Employee bean eb2 equal to new emp bean of, let me set the values by using setters. Anyone can set the values, right? eb2 dot set employee ID. Set employee ID of 222. The same way set employee name. To set employee name of, let me set the employee name is what? Anu I am passing here. I would like to get the data. The last example, I'm getting the data, I'm storing the data, then I'm printing the data. But in this example, let me print the data directly. How to print the data directly here? ab2 dot, the method name is called, directly you can pass that getter method to SOP. If you are passing the getter method to SOP, what happened? If you are passing the getter method to SOP, the data will be, whatever the data getter method is returns, the data will be printed here. So get employee ID. So like that we are passing here, get employee name we are passing. eb2.getEmployee ID, eb2.getEmployee ID. Like that, any client can set the data, any object can get the data. I hope you understand, right? This is called your what? Bean class. In the project level, we are using bean class like this. So concentrate. This is a EMP bean.java. The bean class, what the definition of bean class? It contains private properties, public setters, and getter methods. Test class is setting the data and getting the data. Setting the data, you getting the data. So clear? This is the bean property behavior, bean class behaviors. Point is clear? This information regarding bean class, it contains private properties, public setters and getters. The setters and getter methods are predefined methods or user defined methods here? Predefined or user defined here? Obviously predefined methods, right? User defined methods, right? Set employee ID, set triple x, triple x equal to the property name. Information regarding what? Your bean class. And I will discuss some important classes in Java that we already covered in the previous videos. I will write the classes which are used frequently in the Java level. The first one is I discussed normal class. Generally, what is the definition of normal class? The normal class, the class contains only normal methods. I discussed normal method and abstract methods, right? If the class contains only normal methods, that class is said to be normal class. Only normal method, the class is said to be normal class. Number 2, abstract class I discussed in the last video. What do you mean by abstract class? Definition is very important. Normal class, nothing but concrete classes. You can say what? Concrete classes. What about normal class? Means it contains only normal methods. One next one here, abstract class. What do you mean abstract class here? The abstract class may contain abstract methods or may not contain abstract methods, but it is not possible to create the object for the abstract class. It may contain abstract or may not contain abstract, but it is not possible to create the object for the abstract classes. In entire Java, if you want to prevent the object creation, declare the class with which modifier? Abstract modifier. That is called what? Your abstract class I completed. So generally next one is the next category. Everyone says parent. Generally parent class. It's not a separate class. Generally based on our conventions I am writing. Based on my conventions only. Parent class means what? Generally the class who is providing the properties is called parent class. So what is the fourth one here? Child class. What do you mean by child class here? The class who is acquiring the properties is called child class. Who is providing the properties is called parent. Who is acquiring the properties is called the child class. The fifth one here, just now I discussed Java bean class. Java bean class means what? It contains private properties, public setters and getter methods. Private properties and setters and getter methods. Number 6, just now in the interfaces concept I completed adapter classes. Adapter class means what? Interface contains 10 methods. In the implementation class we have to override 10 methods. That is the problem with interfaces. Then what is the problem with interfaces here? If the interface contains 10 methods, in implementation class we have to override the 10 methods. That is the problem with interfaces. To overcome the problem, adapter class is there. Interface contains corresponding adapter class. Interface contains 10 declaration, adapter class contains 10 empty implementation. 10 empty implementation. If you are implementing interface, override the 10 methods. If you are extending adapter class, override the required methods. A interface contains adapter class. Interface contains declaration. Adapter class contains interface declaration empty implementations here. Adapter class contains what? Declarations, empty implementations, right? In that way, in that scenario, when we are implementing the interface, we must override what? All the methods present in the interface. When we extend the adapter class already contains empty implementation, right? Whatever the method you require, you can override it. You can override. That is called what? Adapter class. So I already discussed the adapter class also. The next one here, the small next level is here, Number 7, public class. Public class means what? Generally, to give the permission to all packages, I declare public class. When we declare the public class name, source file name must be same. In the project level also, while doing the projects by using Eclipse ID, in the Eclipse ID we are declaring public class only. In that public class, you are observing or not, public class source file name must be same. If you change the name, obviously you are getting error message. Public class name, source file name must be same. Public class tester, application name must be tester.java. If you are changing public class, obviously error will generate it. Public class means it gives the permission to all packages. If you are not declaring any modifier, that is said to be default class. By default, default modifier is there. What is the default accessing of that class here? Only within the package. So these are our conventions. Generally, in entire Java, we may come across these all the classes. So don't expect. And one more thing here, in the Java methods concept, I said in the demo class 23 methods. In the sense, in the Java methods concept, I am not completing 23 methods. In entire Java, at the end of the Java course, you may come across these 23 methods. One or two messages mail me like, Ratan, you said 23 methods, but in the Java methods concept, you covered only instance method and static method. In the methods concept, I will cover only instance and static. Through entire Java, you may come across how many methods? 23 methods. Like that, these are listed all the classes. You come across entire Java. In entire Java, you will come across what? These all the classes. Default class and the public class. So number 9. Just now I completed tightly encapsulated class. What do you mean tightly encapsulated class? The class contains private properties. The class is called a tightly encapsulated class. The class contains private properties. The class is called what? Tightly encapsulated class. So number 10. So generally we may come across implementation class. The terminology is what? Implementation class. What do you mean implementation class? The class which implements particular interface, that class is called implementation class. As a Java developer, whenever they are saying implementation class, we must know that word. Implementation class means, oh, this class is implementing particular interface. It seems to be silly but important. One person says that it seems to be silly, we know everything. We know everything. Think about the freshers level. So don't think these are the everything is what? Introduced by Sun Microsystem. The Sun Microsystem never says Java contains 15 classes, 23 methods. This is our convention, just that. Once you complete Java means, so you must know meaning of this all classes like. So one of these person says a parent class, the child class, this is all the classes are. These are not exact classes. I'm saying, whenever that person says this is the parent class means, oh, the parent class means is providing properties. The class contains child means, how to think like that. Feeling important. So if anyone is saying any answer, if anyone is thinking any level, but feeling important, I will cover each and every point. Clear? Good. So implementation class means the class which implements a particular interface. That class is said to be implementation class. Number 11, final class. Tell me, what do you mean final class here? What about final class here? We cannot extend that final classes, right? To prevent the inheritance concept, I declared final modifier or not. Final classes means we cannot extend. There's 11th one here. Immutable classes. As part of string manipulations, you discuss these immutable classes. What do you mean immutable class? Tell me here. The class, it allows to create only single object. Like the class object does not allow the modification. Once you create a string object, it is not possible to perform the modifications on existing object. That behavior is called what? Immutable classes. Like modifications are not allowed. All wrapper classes, totally 8 wrapper classes in Java. All wrapper classes are what? Immutable classes. It means once you create the object, while doing the project, PM says, project manager says, hey, this is a immutable class. Your colleague says this is immutable class, you can do modification. This is a mutable class, you are unable to do modification. In that scenario, you must know what do you mean mutable class and what do you mean by immutable class, right? Then tell me here. Immutable class means the class, once you create the object, it is not possible to perform the modifications on existing object. That behavior is called what? Immutable class. That behavior is called a immutable class. Number 33, mutable class. What do you mean mutable class here? The class does not allow the modifications. Oh, sorry. Immutable means the class which does not allow the modification. Mutable means the class which allows the modifications. Don't confuse. In the string manipulations, I clearly explain these 2 points. Immutable means, what do you mean immutable class? Once you create the string object, it is not possible to perform the modifications on string object. That behavior is called what? Immutable. Once you create the string buffer object, it is possible to perform the modifications on existing object. That behavior is called what? Mutable nature. So total how many classes here? 13 classes. Next one is the 14th class here. The 14th class. For the 14th class, you know, the strict FP class. What do you mean strict FP class? A class declared as strict FP. So a class declared as what? Strict FP. For that class contains number of methods, right? Every method follows the floating point calculation standard is IEEE 754 standards. If a class declared as strict FP, now tell me, if a class declares strict FP, all the floating point calculations of this class will follow IEEE 754 to get the platform independent results. The strict FP I clearly explained in the main method concept. So if you want, you can please check that main method. Last class, the 15th singleton class. Now last one here, the singleton class. The singleton class means the class which allows to create only single object, that is called singleton class. If you are creating 2 objects also, it returns the same hash code. So concentrate. Singleton class is allows to create the only single object for that class. T1 object I created, hash code is 123. When you create the T2 object also, hash code 123. When you create the T3 object also, 123. It is pointing to only single object. Tell me, what do you mean singleton class here? The class which allows to create only single object, that class is called what? Singleton class. Hope the points are clear. Good. So I will complete all the classes in the entire Corejava level. You can check all the classes like. Tell me total how many classes I list out here? 15 classes total. What is the first one here? Normal class. You know what normal class means? The class contains only normal method. The class is said to be normal class. Abstract class. Abstract class may contain abstract methods or may not contain abstract methods, but object creation is not allowed. Parent class. The class who is providing the properties is called parent class. Child class. The class who is acquiring the properties is called child class. Bean class. The class contains private properties, public setters and getter methods. The class is said to be bean class. It is a reusable component. Adapter class. It contains empty implementations of interface methods. It contains empty implementations of interface method. If you are implementing interface, override all methods. If you are extending adapter class, override required methods. Public class, any package can access. Default class, only within the package can access. Tightly encapsulated class, the class contains private properties, yet tightly encapsulated data are not. That is called what? Tightly encapsulated class. Implementation class, the class which implementing particular interface, that class is called implementation class. Final class, we cannot create the object for the we cannot extend the final classes. It is preventing inheritance concept. Immutable classes, once you create the string object, it is not possible to perform the modifications on existing object. If the modifications are not allowed, that class is said to be immutable. If the modifications are allowed, it is said to be mutable. Strict FP class, the particular class, the IEEE the floating point calculations will follow on standard. What is the standard here? IEEE 754 standard. 15 singleton class. The class, it allows to create only how many objects? One object. The class is said to be singleton class. So these are the different classes we may come across in entire Java. This is the end of your OOPS concepts. So inheritance is completed, polymorphism completed, abstraction completed, and interface also encapsulation also completed, right? But thank you guys. I'll meet you in next video. We'll discuss remaining parts. Thank you.